When visibility becomes the work. Across longer time horizons, organizations quietly trade outcomes for evidence. You can feel it in the extra meetings, the dashboard screenshots, the notifications demanding status, and the checklists that grow even when the real work stalls. As systems scale, measurement tools tend to drift from describing performance to defining competence. What is visible becomes what is rewarded, and over time that redefines what effective even means. This is not a moral failure. It is a mechanical consequence of distance, limited attention, and the need to coordinate people who cannot all directly observe one another's work. In the short term, dashboards and metrics reduce friction. They create a shared language when teams are distributed across time and context. The explicit constraint is attention. Leaders and peers cannot review every decision, every draft, every conversation. So the system compresses reality into indicators, counts, percentages, completion states, timestamps. The benefit is speed of assessment. The trade-off is loss of nuance. Once a number or a checklist item becomes a proxy for competence, incentives reorganize around it. If promotions, approvals, or resource allocations reference a report, then producing a clean report becomes safer than producing a messy breakthrough. A feedback loop forms. People who look good on the dashboard are trusted. Trusted people get autonomy and budget. Autonomy and budget make it easier to generate more good-looking dashboard artifacts. Meanwhile, work that is harder to quantify, quiet risk reduction, patient mentoring, careful debugging, long-cycle research becomes structurally fragile because it spends attention without producing immediate signals. Over the mid-horizon, measurement becomes a negotiation. Teams learn the difference between what the metric claims to represent and what it actually pays for. They adapt, choosing tasks that convert cleanly into updates, timing work to align with reporting cycles, optimizing for throughput over durability, and moving complexity outside the measured boundary. The explicit constraint here is auditability. What cannot be defended in a meeting is treated as if it did not happen. The trade-off shifts again. You gain defensible narratives, but you lose candor about ambiguity and partial progress. A second-order effect appears. When visibility becomes the path to security, people spend more time making work legible than making it good. Documentation swells, handoffs multiply, and approvals proliferate, not only for control, but because approvals create traceable proof that someone was responsible. In that environment, competence is reinterpreted as fluency in the signaling system, knowing which statuses to select, which charts to highlight, which meetings to attend, which risks to phrase softly enough to survive. This is how visibility replaces effectiveness without anyone explicitly deciding it should. Across longer horizons, the tail risk is that the organization becomes excellent at passing its own tests while failing reality's tests. Reliability degrades in ways the dashboard cannot see until it is late. Fragile dependencies, unowned maintenance, hidden rework, brittle morale, and narrowed learning. And there is uncertainty. Sometimes increased measurement truly does reveal problems early. Sometimes it merely increases reporting volume. The difficulty is that both states can feel similar in the moment. More activity, more artifacts, more confidence, while their long-term consequences diverge sharply. This is a question of values expressed through constraint. A measurement regime does not just observe work. It allocates attention, and attention shapes identity and outcome. When a dashboard defines competence, it teaches people what the system considers real. It teaches what deserves explanation, what deserves silence, and what deserves celebration. Governance is part of the system, even when it is informal. Every required update, every approval threshold, every meeting cadence is a small piece of governance. It determines which truths travel upward and which truths remain local. If the governance layer privileges what is easily counted, then the organization gradually disowns what is harder to count, even if that harder to count work is what keeps customers safe, keeps infrastructure stable, or keeps learning alive. Responsibility, then, is not only about individual effort. It is also about the informational environment that effort must pass through to be recognized. When visibility replaces effectiveness, people are not merely distracted. They are being trained by incentives to treat signals as outcomes. The system permits some forms of truth and constrains others, and over time it becomes difficult to remember which was which. Hold one small act of reflection. Choose a single time horizon, this week, this quarter, or 2 years, and name one hidden assumption inside your measures. Perhaps it is the assumption that what is easy to report is what is important, or that speed is the same as progress, or that activity is the same as ownership. Then name one risk that would not show up on your current dashboard until it is expensive: rework, fatigue, brittle dependencies, quiet confusion, or a talent drain that looks like normal churn. This is not a call to fix anything on the spot. It is an invitation to notice where your visibility system might be substituting for your reality system, and to let that awareness remain present in the next meeting, the next status update, the next approval chain. Dashboards are useful servants and dangerous definitions. They can reveal work, and they can replace it. Time reveals failure modes, and humility is keeping room for what your measures cannot yet see.